Ladies, let's be honest, you don't just want a man to like you. You want him to feel that magnetic pull, that I can't stop thinking about her feeling. You want him to chase you, not because you're playing games, but because your presence, your energy, and your standards make you unforgettable. The truth is, attraction is not about manipulation. It's about creating a dynamic where his effort feels natural. When a man invests, he values. When he works for something, he cherishes it. So if you've been the one doing all the calling, texting, and planning, today is the day that ends. Let's talk about how to spark that chase, not just at the start, but in a way that lasts. This is about becoming the woman who is so compelling that his pursuit of you feels like the most exciting thing in his life. The first step to making a man truly chase you is not about him at all. It's about you. If you don't see yourself as someone worth pursuing, you will subconsciously communicate that through your words, your actions, and even your body language. People often think confidence means walking into a room with loud energy or dominating every conversation. But real confidence is much quieter. It's in the way you speak without rushing, in the way you hold eye contact, and in the way you can smile and walk away when something doesn't feel right. When you genuinely believe you're the prize, you stop chasing validation from someone else. You no longer feel the urge to send that extra text just to remind him you exist. Instead, you understand that if someone is interested, they will show it through consistent effort. And if they don't, you're not going to beg for crumbs. That inner shift changes the way you carry yourself, and men can sense it immediately. It's not arrogance, it's a grounded sense of self-respect. Many women fall into the trap of thinking, if I can just impress him enough, he'll choose me. But here's the truth. The most magnetic women are not auditioning for a man's approval. They are assessing him. They're thinking, do you deserve a spot in my life? Are you adding joy, peace, and value? When you flip the script like this, you're no longer passively waiting for someone to see your worth. You are in the driver's seat of your dating life. Believing you're the prize doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you know your flaws and you still understand your value. You know you bring qualities, kindness, intelligence, humor, ambition that are not easy to find all in one person. And you're not going to downplay those qualities to fit into someone else's comfort zone. A woman who embraces her worth becomes unforgettable because she's rare in a world where so many people are trying to shrink themselves to be liked. Here's the thing. A man can tell within the first few interactions if you see yourself as high value. It's in the way you respond to low effort. If he sends a vague last-minute invite, the high-value woman says, "Thanks, but I already have plans," instead of rushing to rearrange her schedule. That's not playing hard to get. That's being honest about your time being valuable. When you operate from that mindset, you're teaching him that your attention is earned, not given away freely. And perhaps the most powerful part of believing you're the prize is how it changes the type of men you attract. Men who are emotionally immature or just looking for an ego boost won't stick around because they quickly realize you won't tolerate half-hearted treatment. On the other hand, men who are ready to invest, to pursue, and to value a partner will feel inspired to rise to the occasion. They'll see you as the rare find you are, because you already see yourself that way. Curiosity is one of the most underrated forces in attraction. A man will chase not just because he finds you beautiful, but because there's something about you that he can't quite figure out. Something that makes him want to know more. Think of curiosity as the spark that keeps the fire alive. You don't need to be mysterious in an artificial way, but you do need to pace how much you reveal. When you give away your whole story in one sitting, there's nothing left for him to discover. And discovery is part of the thrill. Creating curiosity is about balance. You want to share enough to build connection and trust, but not so much that you remove the sense of wonder. For example, when he asks about your weekend, you don't need to list every detail. Instead of, "I went to dinner with my friend Sarah, then we watched a movie, then we went to this cafe," And then we talked for 2 hours. You might say, I had such a great night with a friend. You'd love the place we went to. That little detail leaves an open door for him to ask, where was it? Or what made it so great? You're letting him earn more of the story. The best way to create curiosity is by living a life that's genuinely interesting. If you're passionate about something, whether it's painting, hiking, salsa dancing, or running a small business, talk about it with enthusiasm, but don't over-explain every aspect of it. Drop small hints, share snippets, and let him feel that there's more to your world than what he's seen so far. This doesn't just keep him intrigued. It also shows that your life has depth and dimension outside of him. Another part of curiosity is emotional range. If you always respond the same way with the same tone and the same predictable reactions, there's no surprise left. But if you can be sweet in one moment, playful in the next, and deeply thoughtful at another time, he'll stay engaged because he never quite knows which delightful side of you he's going to get next. It's about being authentic, but also allowing different layers of your personality to shine over time. Don't underestimate the power of silence either. Sometimes the most intriguing thing you can do is not fill every pause. If he's telling a story and you respond with a knowing smile or a curious glance instead of immediately jumping in, you're creating space for him to wonder what you're thinking. That's where curiosity grows, in those small, unspoken moments where his mind fills in the blanks. Finally, remember that curiosity works best when paired with warmth. If you're too distant or overly guarded, it can feel cold and push him away. But when you mix openness with selective sharing, you create the perfect push-pull dynamic. He feels safe enough to pursue, but challenged enough to keep pursuing. That's the sweet spot where the chase becomes exciting rather than exhausting. The first few weeks of getting to know someone are not just fun and casual. They're also when you're quietly teaching each other how you expect to be treated. If you respond to last-minute texts, rearrange your life for him, or accept vague, non-committal behavior in the beginning, you're setting the tone that this is acceptable. The opposite is also true if you show from day one that you value consistency, effort, and respect. You create a dynamic where that becomes the norm. Men will rise to the standard you set, or they'll fall away if they're not capable of meeting it. This is why it's so important to match his effort instead of his excuses. If he's putting in thought, planning dates, and communicating well, reflect that energy back. But if he's slow to respond, inconsistent, or only makes minimal effort, you don't close the gap by overcompensating. You don't start sending longer texts, trying to fix the momentum or making it easier for him to see you. You simply stay at your pace, showing him that your standard isn't going to bend just to keep someone interested. Setting the tone early also means being intentional with your boundaries. If he cancels plans last minute without a valid reason, you don't react with drama, but you also don't pretend it's fine if it's not. You can say something like, I understand things come up, but I value my time, so I appreciate more notice. This shows him that you're direct, self-respecting, and not afraid to speak up. The right man will see this as a sign of strength, not stubbornness. The early stage is also when you establish how much you're available. If you make yourself accessible 24/7, it sends the message that your life revolves around him, and that can kill the sense of pursuit. Instead, let him see that you have commitments, passions, and responsibilities that you won't drop at a moment's notice. This creates both respect and desire because he'll feel he has to earn time with you. Even in light-hearted moments, the tone you set matters. If you respond playfully to his jokes, but don't indulge in disrespect disguised as humor, you're showing him the difference between playful banter and crossing a line. If you show excitement when he plans something thoughtful, you're encouraging more of that behavior. The tone is not about being rigid. It's about rewarding the behaviors that align with your values and calmly stepping back from those that don't. Most importantly, Remember that men often take the path of least resistance. If you make it easy for him to put in minimal effort and still have full access to your time and attention, that will become the relationship pattern. But if you make it clear from the very beginning that you operate on mutual effort, respect, and intentionality, you create a foundation where the chase isn't just about winning you over once. It's about continually showing up. One of the most powerful ways to inspire a man to keep chasing you is to make sure his effort, not just his attention, is what earns your warmth and appreciation. A lot of women confuse the two. Attention is easy. A man can send a late night hey or drop a random emoji in your DMs without putting in any real thought. Effort, on the other hand, requires intention. Planning a date, remembering something you mentioned in passing, showing up when he says he will. If you respond equally to both, you're telling him that minimum effort gets maximum reward. When you make an effort-based reward system your standard, you train him, without saying a word, on how to win with you. If he puts thought into spending time with you, you light up, you engage, you let your softer, more open side show. But when he's lazy, inconsistent, or just fishing for validation, your energy stays neutral. You're not punishing him, but you're also not feeding his ego for doing the bare minimum. Over time, he'll start associating the best parts of you with the moments he earns them. This doesn't mean you become cold or transactional. You can still be kind and polite, even if the effort isn't there. But the level of access to your time, energy, and affection should rise in proportion to the energy he's putting in. For example, if he plans a date you truly enjoy, let him see how much it means to you. If he remembers your favorite dessert and surprises you with it, let your gratitude be genuine and enthusiastic. Men repeat what works. And when effort works, they'll keep giving it. Rewarding effort also protects you from wasting emotional energy on men who aren't serious. A man who only seeks quick, easy attention will lose interest if he realizes you're not giving the same reaction to his lazy attempts. That's a good thing. It saves you time and opens space for men who are ready to put in consistent, genuine investment. In this way, you're not just making a man chase you, you're filtering for the right kind of man to chase you. It's also important to remember that not all effort is romantic grand gestures. Sometimes it's about the little consistencies, checking in during a busy day, remembering small details you've shared, or being emotionally present when you're together. These actions might seem simple, but they speak volumes about a man's intentions. When you recognize and appreciate them, you encourage more of the same. Finally, this approach naturally builds mutual respect. You're showing that you don't take his effort for granted, and you're also modeling what healthy reciprocity looks like. In return, you'll find that the chase isn't just about him proving himself. It becomes a shared rhythm where both of you are inspired to keep showing up for each other. That's when the attraction deepens and the connection becomes far more than just a game of pursuit. One of the most attractive things about a woman is a life that is already rich and fulfilling without a man in it. When you keep your life full with passions, friendships, ambitions, and experiences, you naturally become more magnetic. It's not about faking business. It's about genuinely having a world of your own. This instantly shifts the dynamic from, I need a man to complete me, to my life is amazing, and if you want to be part of it, you'll need to add value. That energy changes everything about how a man approaches you. A full life creates natural boundaries because you can't sire and won't drop everything at the first sign of his attention. If your week is already filled with work projects, a yoga class you love, brunch with your friends, and time with family, then seeing him becomes something you choose to fit in, not something you revolve your world around. This balance makes your time feel more precious, and when your time is precious, he'll instinctively work harder to earn it. Men are drawn to women who inspire them, and nothing is more inspiring than someone who's genuinely engaged in her own growth and joy. If he hears you talk with excitement about a project you're leading, a trip you're planning, or a skill you're learning. He sees you as a woman who's alive and interesting. It also removes pressure from the relationship because you're not leaning on him to be your sole source of entertainment or emotional fulfillment. Having a full life also means you're less likely to tolerate bad behavior. When you know you have a great social circle, a career you care about, and activities that light you up, you won't cling to someone just because you fear being alone. That inner stability is incredibly attractive. It communicates that you're with him because you want to be, not because you have to be. And that makes him value your presence even more. Another bonus of keeping your life full is that it creates endless opportunities for connection. When you're living fully, you have stories to tell, experiences to share, and new things for him to discover about you. Instead of every conversation revolving around, "What did you do today?" you'll have a colorful mix of adventures, insights, and funny moments that keep your interactions fresh. This constant variety fuels curiosity and deepens attraction over time. Finally, a full life makes you harder to replace, not in a manipulative way, but in a very real emotional way. When a man knows you have your own dreams, independence, and a rich world outside of him, he understands that losing you means losing access to something rare and exciting. That awareness keeps the chase alive far beyond the first few dates, because he knows your attention is a privilege, not a given. A little challenge is like oxygen to attraction. It keeps things fresh, exciting, and alive. When you use playful challenge, you're not creating tension through drama or mind games. You're sparking it through light-hearted banter, witty comebacks, and moments where he feels he has to earn your full attention. It's the difference between being agreeable all the time and being engaging. A woman who's always nodding and saying, "Me too," fades into the background. A woman who challenges him with a smile stays on his mind. Playful challenge works because it makes him feel he's on an adventure with you. Maybe he makes a bold statement and you respond with, "Oh, really? Prove it." Or maybe he tries to guess something about you and you tease, "You're close, but not quite." You'll have to work for the full story. These moments turn your conversations into games where he's eager to win your approval or uncover the next layer of who you are. This dynamic taps into a man's natural instinct to pursue. When you challenge him in a warm, teasing way, he doesn't feel rejected. He feels motivated. You're showing him that you're confident enough to hold your ground, yet inviting enough to keep the interaction flowing. It's a balance of giving him enough to stay hooked while holding back just enough so that the chase remains alive. Playful challenge also builds respect. Men are far more drawn to a woman who can playfully push back than one who simply agrees with everything they say. If he throws out a joke and you come back with something equally sharp, he sees you as someone he can connect with on a deeper level. This keeps the energy between you dynamic rather than flat or predictable. The beauty of playful challenge is that it makes every interaction more memorable. He won't remember the 15th time someone laughed politely at his story, but he will remember the time you teased him for taking too long to text back or playfully questioned his expert opinion on something. These moments create mental bookmarks in his mind, little sparks that bring him back to you. And perhaps most importantly, playful challenge keeps you in your feminine power. You're not trying to impress him by giving or oversharing. You're letting him work for your attention in a way that's fun for both of you. This makes the chase feel less like a competition and more like a dance. And in that dance, he'll keep stepping forward, hoping to match your rhythm. Physical intimacy is powerful. It can deepen a bond, heighten attraction, and create a sense of closeness that words alone can't. But when it's rushed, it can also shortcut the emotional build-up that makes a man truly invest in you. Pacing intimacy doesn't mean following a rigid timeline or playing hard to get for the sake of it. It's about letting the connection grow naturally. So when physical closeness happens, it's a reflection of genuine trust and emotional investment, not just momentary desire. When you allow intimacy to unfold gradually, you create anticipation, and anticipation is a core driver of attraction. The longer he waits to truly experience that deeper side of you, the more he values it when it happens. It's human nature. We place higher value on what we've had to earn. That doesn't make you a game player. It makes you someone who understands her worth and the significance of letting someone into her personal space. Pacing intimacy also gives you the time to truly evaluate him. In the early stages, chemistry can cloud judgment. You might overlook red flags or compatibility issues because the physical connection feels so strong. But when you pace yourself, you give your mind and emotions the chance to catch up with your body. You can assess how he treats you outside of romantic moments, how consistent he is, how he communicates, and how aligned his actions are with his words. It also sends a powerful message about your standards. When you're not quick to get physical, you're showing that your body and your heart are not something given away casually. This isn't about being distant, it's about being selective. Men who are genuinely interested will respect this, and in fact, many will find it even more compelling. It tells them you value depth over instant gratification, which often inspires them to rise to the occasion. Another benefit is that pacing intimacy often leads to more meaningful, memorable moments when it does happen. Because there's already a foundation of emotional trust. It's not just about the physical act. It's about connection, closeness, and a shared experience that strengthens the bond between you. That kind of intimacy isn't easily replaced, which means he's far less likely to take it for granted. And finally, pacing gives the relationship a natural rhythm. Instead of burning bright and fading fast, it allows the attraction to build in layers. He's not just chasing you for physical reasons, he's chasing the whole of who you are. When physical intimacy becomes a chapter in a much richer story, the chase continues long after the first kiss. The quickest way to lose a man's respect and his desire to chase you is to tolerate behavior that disrespects your time, your feelings, or your boundaries. When you stay unavailable to bad behavior, you're sending a clear message. If you want access to me, you have to treat me well. This isn't about being cold or punishing. It's about protecting your emotional space and showing that your self-worth comes before any relationship. Bad behavior can be subtle or obvious. It might be him canceling plans at the last minute without a valid reason, going silent for days and then casually reappearing, or speaking to you in a way that's dismissive or belittling. The mistake many women make is brushing these moments aside in the hope that things will get better. But what actually happens is the opposite. If you accept it once, it becomes the standard. By stepping back when you see low effort or disrespect, you create a natural consequence without drama. You're not sending long lectures or emotional rants. You're simply showing through your actions that you don't engage when the treatment falls below your standards. For example, if he disappears for a week and then sends a casual, "Hey," you're not obligated to respond with excitement. A neutral or minimal reply, or no reply at all, communicates far more than words ever could. This approach also filters out the men who are only there for convenience. A man who's genuinely interested in you will notice when you've pulled back and will make the effort to correct his behavior. He'll want to understand what went wrong and show you that he can do better. On the other hand, a man who's not serious will simply fade away, and that's actually a win. You've just saved yourself months or even years of wasted time. Staying unavailable to bad behavior also keeps the power dynamic healthy. It ensures that you're not stuck in a cycle of chasing someone to meet your needs while they put in minimal effort. Instead, you're creating a relationship framework where respect, effort, and consistency are non-negotiable. This doesn't just keep the chase alive. It raises the quality of the men who are willing to chase you in the first place. And perhaps the most important part, you're showing yourself, not just him, that you will never compromise your self-respect for temporary attention. Every time you choose to step back from someone who treats you poorly, you reinforce your own worth. That inner strength radiates, and the right man will recognize it as the exact quality that makes you worth chasing.